All right, welcome back to our pregame show. Todd Morris with you here on the Bulldog Radio Network, and it's time to sit down with UMS-Wright head football coach Terry Curtis for our weekly pregame interview. And Coach, a 39-0 victory over LaFleur last week in our first region game of the season. I think the game kind of turned out as we expected and the way we talked about it last week. Any surprises from the game from your end?
No, I thought we took care of business. Everybody got to play. We didn't prolong it. You kind of knew pretty quick that we were in control of the game, so it was good to let a lot of the young guys play and let them get some action. You know, those guys practice every day, so every time you have a chance to get them in a game, you really like to get them in a game.
Right.
And so it was fun to watch them guys go out there and get after it, and some of them got more work this past week than the varsity did because they had a JV game on Monday.
That's right.
And then played in the varsity game, about half of it on Friday. So it was good to see that. But guys went out there, took care of business, and you know, no injuries. Got through it again, other than David Fillers late in the game, and you know. So it was good from that standpoint also.
Yeah, I was going to say another huge game for senior running back Cole Blaylock, 258 yards on 16 carries, 4 touchdowns. But, you know, we also had 3 interceptions on defense last week. We held LaFleur to under 100 yards. And in our discussion the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about, you know, secondary and defensively and trying to, you know, find the right parts still. And I think we played pretty well last week.
Well, we did, but, you know, this week's going to be a whole different ball game. So, it's you know, but we did get better in some areas at what we was working on.
Right. The biggest thing I thought, John Charles Irwin handling the kickoff duties last week, man. That was awesome.
Well,
2 touchbacks, our first 2 touchbacks of the season, and then he went down and made a couple of big tackles on nobody ever thinks they're going to have to block the kicker.
Exactly.
Now all of a sudden you got to block the kicker.
That's the most thing. Now they're going to have to start. I told you better get ready because
That's
they're
right.
ready to come. But when you send the kicker right on down and cover a lane, that just makes everybody kind of stay spread out. But he did a good job. It was kind of a funny story. He came to me, Todd, at the end of his second one. He said, "I got it now, Coach. I got it." I said, "Well, you did okay first." He said, "No, I was nervous. I was really nervous. I just wanted to make sure I didn't kick it out of bounds." Yeah. I said, "I'm gonna let it go now," and he did. He kicked the next 2. One of them in the end zone, and the other one went over the boy's head into the end zone. So he did a good job. And, you know, we've been working hard on it. John Ramsey's doing fine with the extra points, getting the ball up, waited a little bit too long on a couple other nights. So, you know, I'm feeling better and better about the kicking.
Yeah. All right. You mentioned the injury we had late in the game. I hate to see when you get younger players in the game. How is David doing? And give us an update on that.
David fine. He broke his he had a broken leg and should be back at school. He was out 2 or 3 days and should be back hopefully Thursday or whatever. Stacy's been going over there checking on him every day, and where he did have some swelling. But, you know, David's tough, got a great family. He'll get over it, and he'll be better than you, you know, hopefully sooner than later.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, well, that brings us to this week's region game against Gulf Shores. They're 3-0. We're 3-0. Probably the number 1 game in the state this week. Is if you look at it, exciting game. I think early in the season, but we've heard a lot in the off season about Gulf Shores as far as transfers and their coaches and Your thoughts on Gulf Shores and what you think we need to do this week?
Well, you know, the one transfer they got that really changed the whole, I guess, makeup of their team was a quarterback from Spanish Fort going over there. You have a hard time when you're watching film, not just watching him because he's such a baller and such a tough kid, and you can tell he likes the ball in his hands, all the things you want a quarterback to do. Now, he's probably not going to be a college quarterback or whatever,
right.
But as far as for high school, he's the kind of player you want. You can tell he's got the command of the huddle. You can tell the kids respect him, and he's tough and physical, and you know, he's made them a good football team.
Yeah. Talk about some of the other players. You know, we hear a lot about the running back or wide receiver, the Royals kid, and they've got a few other weapons on their team. Anything in particular we're going to try to do differently this week?
Well, we got to know where the quarterback is, but he makes the rest of them better because you've got to account for him. And now he's sitting there throwing bubbles out there to the Royal kid or number one, and then 21 plays in the backfield. And the thing about him, outside the quarterback, all those their other guys play defense too. They play the two corners, and one of them plays the safety. So those are 3 or 4 guys, that you've got to know where they are. And like I say, it all goes back to the quarterback. And by him running zone read or tray options and triple options and all that stuff, he makes it tough to cover them all. So we'll have our hands full, and hopefully we'll be able to tackle them in space.
Yeah,
so that's going to be big tonight.
With the scheduling change last week and the LaFleur game, being at home, this will be our 3rd straight home game. Always nice, I think, to have a big game like this at your home stadium. The kids have to be excited about it.
Well, they are. You can talk to them, and playing this past week, they knew that what LaFleur was, that they were going through some hard times, and I do think Coach Jackson's doing a good job with them.
Yeah,
and it's just going to take time, but our kids need a game like this, one that they can get excited about. Statewide ramifications. You know good and well that Gulf Shores hadn't been in this situation a whole lot, where we've been in it for a long time. So they're gonna come over here just chomping at the bit, and we're gonna have to meet their intensity and toughness, and it'll be interesting to see how our kids do.
Yeah, and it's like I said, it's early in the season and has big region ramifications for later in the year. So it's 4th game of the season, just kind of odd for us to have this big of a game this early in the season.
Well, it does, and especially playing them, they're undefeated in the region. The next 2 weeks, both weeks are really big with them and Viger back to back. So, we're gonna find out a lot about ourselves in the next 2 weeks.
We will. All right, Coach. Thanks for joining us on the pregame show. We always look forward to hearing from you every week. Good luck.
Thank you, my friend.
All right, a big 5A Region 1 game tonight here at Cooper Stadium. The 3-0 UMS-Wright Bulldogs versus the 3-0 Gulf Shores Dolphins coming up in just a minute. So stick around. We'll be back with the opening kickoff right after this commercial break. You're listening to the Bulldog Radio Network here on Sports Talk 99.5 Mobile, an iHeart radio station.